Senator, I don't know if you saw a really interesting article in Revolver News about the pipe bombs on January 6th. We've heard so much about the grannies that went into the Capitol. We've heard so much about the horn hat guy. We've heard so much from the J6 committee. We haven't heard a whole lot about those pipe bombs, and we don't really know who planted the pipe bombs. And it seems like that would be pretty important when we're talking about that day. This would be the nearest that you got to serious political violence on January 6th, and yet we've heard nothing. So there's a Revolver News report out that suggests that there are really more questions than answers when it comes to these pipe bombs. Why they were allegedly planted when they were, why the FBI isn't releasing footage of the people planting it to try to figure out who actually did it. I'll just leave it at that. A whole lot of really strange aspects to this story. And then the strangest one of all, you called out when you were grilling the FBI director, Christopher Wray, which is that the former head of the Detroit office for the FBI, this guy, Stephen D'Antuono is his name. He was in charge of the operation to entrap people into trying to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the Democrat governor of Michigan. And this was a complete cluster, didn't work. The trial's going on right now. It's just a complete mess for the FBI. Shortly after that all fell apart, Stephen D'Antuono got a promotion. He was brought over, this would be in the months before January 6th, to head up the Washington field office for the FBI. This is one of the most prestigious posts you can have in the Bureau. And so therefore, he's the guy that's overseeing the investigation into January 6th. All of this has me scratching my head, Senator. I know it had you scratching yours, which is why you grilled Christopher Wray.
Well, Michael, that's exactly right. And you got a lot of substance in that question. So let me try to take it one piece at a time. And let me say at the outset, it is interesting. Literally every single topic we are discussing in this podcast, every single topic that is leading the news right now is in my new book, Justice Corrupted, which you can pre-order right now on Amazon. It's coming out in just a few weeks. In Justice Corrupted, I go into depth about Crossfire Hurricane and the partisan animus that led to that bogus investigation. I go into depth into January 6th and the pipe bomber and the investigation and the politicization of the investigation. I go into depth on the Gretchen Whitmer absolute debacle and explain how all of this is interconnected. Let's start with the pipe bomb. Look, the FBI and the Department of Justice should be focused on criminals. It should be focused on people who commit crimes of violence. We saw all during Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots, where the federal government essentially turned a blind eye because many of the hyper-partisan senior leaders at the Department of Justice and the FBI, even under Donald Trump, the burrowed-in career leaders who remained hard leftists, agreed with the politics of the rioters and the violent criminals, and so gave them slaps on the wrist over and over again as they engaged in violent acts of terror, firebombing police cars, looting stores, murdering officers because of the politics they disregarded violence. On January 6th, Merrick Garland has claimed it is the largest and most significant investigation in the history of the FBI. Like, holy crap, like, really? Like, in the history of the FBI. So more than 9/11, like planes flying into the World Trade Center, flying into the Pentagon, 3,000 people murdered. This was more serious. And the reason it's more serious is because for them, it's all about politics. Who are they targeting? They're targeting the little old ladies who were on the mall waving American flags, singing God Bless America. They're targeting, ultimately, every American who voted for Donald Trump, who spoke out in favor of Donald Trump. This is a political persecution. The White House sees it that way, just like the raid. The raid was a political persecution. It's not about violence. Now, you look at January 6th. One action that on the face of it certainly appears to be a crime of violence and was an attempt at a serious terrorist attack are the two pipe bombs. If pipe bombs had detonated on Capitol Hill, potentially killing dozens or more, that would have been a horrific act of violence. Now, thankfully, neither pipe bomb detonated. If you look at everything that transpired that day, you would think a multiple attempted bombing in the nation's capital would be really high on the priority list of let's get someone that's trying to blow people up and murder people. Like that, you know, between blow people up and murder people and little old lady waving a flag, maybe blow people up and murder people would be a higher priority in any sane world. we're now, almost 2 years after the fact, and we know nothing about the pipe bomber. Apparently there's video of it. Apparently the pipe bomber dropped the bombs off at 8 p.m. the night before. They have video of it. If they've ever caught the guy, they've never told anyone. There's no case. There's no prosecution. Apparently the guy with the horns is a massive threat to the cosmos, but a ostensibly homicidal bomber, no concern, nothing to see here. It is weird. When the DOJ or the FBI is before the Judiciary Committee, I asked them about it, and they consistently refuse to answer. Nothing to see here. Nope, never mind the bomber. We don't care. Not our focus. Nope. Not. Their attitude is, we don't have to answer your questions.
Yeah.
And it's not just we don't answer to Congress. It's we don't answer the American people. We decide what we want to do, and no one dares question us. And look, this Revolver article, I don't know how accurate or not it is. It raises questions. The implication is that the pipe bombs were not actually planted by real criminals, but were part of a fraud, some sort of entrapment or hoax. I don't know. I want to be cautious about suggesting that. But I will say this. When law enforcement, A, doesn't make it a priority to target actual violent criminals, and B, answers no questions, has no transparency, and behaves as if they have no accountability, they shouldn't be surprised when they have no credibility and people don't trust them.